Have you ever wondered about one of the most difficult questions in the Bible? If God knows everything, past, present, and future, then why did he create Lucifer if he already knew Lucifer would become Satan? Why create someone who would rebel against him, bring sin into the world, and lead millions away from God? This question has challenged believers and non-believers for centuries. At first glance, it may seem like a contradiction. If God is all-knowing and all-powerful, couldn't he have simply prevented Satan from ever existing? Couldn't he have created a world without evil, suffering, temptation, and sin? To understand this question, we must begin at the very beginning. According to the Bible, Lucifer was not created as Satan. God did not create an evil devil. Instead, God created a magnificent angel. Lucifer was beautiful, powerful, wise, and honored among the heavenly beings. The Bible describes him as being filled with splendor and beauty. Everything God created was good. This includes the angels. Lucifer was originally one of God's creations, made for a purpose and blessed with incredible gifts. But God gave angels something very important: free will. Free will is the ability to choose. Without choice, there can be no genuine love, loyalty, or obedience. Imagine a robot programmed to say, "I love you." Does that love truly mean anything? The robot has no choice. It is simply following instructions. God desired creatures who could freely choose to love him. Love forced by programming is not real love. Therefore, God gave angels the freedom to obey him or reject him. Lucifer had that freedom. At some point, pride entered Lucifer's heart. Instead of using his gifts to glorify God, he became focused on himself. He looked at his beauty, his power, and his position and began to desire something that belonged only to God. He wanted God's throne. The prophet Isaiah describes Lucifer's pride through statements often summarized as, "I will ascend, I will exalt my throne, and I will make myself like the Most High." This was the moment everything changed. Lucifer was no longer satisfied with serving God. He wanted to be equal to God. His pride turned into rebellion. But here's where the difficult question returns. If God already knew Lucifer would rebel, why create him at all? One answer many Christian thinkers have given is that God's knowledge of an event is not the same as causing the event. For example, imagine you are watching a replay of a football match. You already know the final score. Your knowledge of the outcome does not cause the players to make their decisions. They still made those choices freely. In a similar way, God exists outside of time. He sees the beginning and the end simultaneously. His knowing what Lucifer would choose does not mean he forced Lucifer to make that choice. Lucifer chose rebellion. God knew it would happen, but Lucifer remained responsible for his decision. Still, someone may ask, if God knew the pain that would result, why allow it? To answer that, we must understand something important about God's greater plan. The Bible repeatedly shows that God can bring good even from evil situations. What Satan intends for destruction, God can transform for his purposes. Think about the story of Joseph. His brothers betrayed him and sold him into slavery. Their actions were evil. Yet years later, Joseph said that what they intended for evil, God used for good. The greatest example is the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. The death of Jesus appeared to be a victory for evil. Satan likely believed he had won. Yet through the cross came salvation, forgiveness, and hope for humanity. God did not create evil, but he is powerful enough to bring good out of evil. And perhaps one of the greatest demonstrations of God's character is seen through his response to sin. Without the possibility of rebellion, we would never fully understand God's mercy. Without sin, we would never understand forgiveness. Without darkness, we would never appreciate the light in the same way. This does not mean evil is good. Evil remains evil. Sin remains destructive. But God's wisdom is so great that even evil cannot ultimately defeat his purposes. The story of Satan is not a story about God's failure. It is a story that ultimately reveals God's justice, holiness, patience, mercy, and victory.